Okay, so don't really have too much going on today. Not gonna be an interesting vlog if I just showed you what I was doing because I was just shooting tree tech videos and stuff and editing it. So it's not too interesting. So I want to talk about that one time I interned at a law firm that I think would be a pretty interesting story for a lot of you guys. So let's talk about it. First off, how the hell did I get into this law firm? It was just it's just a normal internship. They paid me like $20 a day, which wasn't really much of a concern because this whole experience was just meant for me to experience stuff and see stuff and get my hands, dabble my hands in it. It was my dad's friend's law firm, but apparently they invite everyone in, so it's not really that I got in with connections. I just got in. That's that. I mean, it was a very unique 2 weeks. And I think there are some stories here that are pretty interesting. So I showed up on day one, and I thought it was just a meeting, and I had no sleep because I thought it was just going to be a meeting, and I'll be able to go home and rest. But no, I showed up to meet the big boss, which is my dad's friend, and I meet him, and I sit down, and we talk for 15 minutes, and it's like, oh, do you have a laptop? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, oh, do you want to work? Are you okay to start work right now? And I was like, I guess. And then boom, okay, someone shows me a spot, sits down, and I'm put to work immediately. The partner comes along and he kind of shows me around the office and tells me that everyone else is in court, so he's the only actual lawyer in the office that day, apart from the big boss, obviously. And then he asks me to do some research, and then he spots this 15-word sentence, and I don't even understand 9 words that he said: affidavit, research, and precedent, and witness, expert witness. I'm just like, and I kept, and he asked me to do it. I mean, I was up for the challenge. I wasn't going to slack off and just whatever. I wanted to learn and try stuff. So I tried to attempted it, but I struggled, and I had to keep going to him and asking for help. Like, what the hell is this? What the hell is that? What does that mean? How do I find this? How do I find that? But I slowly figured it out, and using Google a lot, I finally figured things out. Turns out what he actually wanted was for me to research the kind of market rate, the precedent as to how much you would pay this kind of expert witness. But the problem is this kind of expert witness was in a field that was really called up to be a court witness. So it was very hard to find any sort of precedent. It was very hard to find any sort of kind of preset price or market default price to pay the expert witness. The thing about expert witness is you need to tell the court how much you are paying the expert witness. You need to show proof that this is a reasonable price, because if you pay too much, you can be accused of corruption. You pay too little, the expert witness, they're just like, you just need everything to be transparent and fair in court, right? So you need to show the court that this is how much we should pay him. Can I have the permission to pay this witness and call the witness to court? That these kind of things, So there's that expert witness. So basically, I just need to find kind of the market rate price. But the problem is I didn't know what most of the words meant. So I was messaging my sister and like people who know law and who are my friends, and then I was talking to the partner and asking for help. And in hindsight, I definitely annoyed the hell out of him, but he was super nice about it, and he definitely helped me a lot with trying to figure out the stuff. Wait, the light's kind of getting dark. Sun's getting real low. Okay. So once I was done messaging him and all that stuff, I finally get it done, and that was like day one. But from day one, I was like, oh, I'm stressed. This is crazy. Like, what the hell am I meant to do and stuff. But that was day one. Yeah, so that was day one, and then nothing happened. And then next day, I got to meet most of the people in the office. So the whole cast and crew was in the end really small. I think it was less than 30 people, and there was the big boss, which I already met. There were three senior partners. One's a lady, two was a man. The lady was a nice woman. She was super friendly, super helpful, and she was almost like a teaching figure. She was really into teaching the interns and trainees things and showing me things. So really, thank you to her. And then there was one of the older male senior partner is this middle-aged man with a big belly but a big bellowing voice. Turns out he had been on radio or TV before as a kind of lawyer advice kind of guy, Dr. Phil, but lawyer. And then his voice is like lower than mine. My voice is often considered quite low, but his voice was like booming, like his voice was boom, boom. And his voice dominated the room every time he spoke. Like if he spoke to someone across the office, everyone in the office would be able to hear it and their attention would be drawn to it just because how distinctive and how dominating his voice is. He could be the caster for Dota, like dominating. His voice was really low, and it isn't like an artificial low that, when someone says something intentionally low, like oh yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's low. But his voice, he was naturally low whenever he talked. His voice was low but smooth. Honestly, he could have sang, but I don't know. I have a sore throat right now, which is my voice is so rough. This is not intentional at all. And then the other senior partner is this up and coming 40 something year old. He looked really young for 40 years old. Tall, lanky lawyer who was very colorful with his language. What's funny is that, you go to court and they speak in a particular way and they speak very, very politely and they have to, follow the procedures and stuff, follow the kind of mannerisms. But in the law firm, when they're ranting about how dirty the other side is playing or whatever tricks the other side is playing, the swear words start flying out. It's kind of hilarious and it's kind of funny. Not that it's really a bad thing, not that I really care, but it was just kind of super funny as well. And then there was, of course, the partner that passed me work. He was much younger, but he was also a hardworking fella that's trying to get up. And then there was a trainee and an intern. The trainee was this young lady, just finished uni, just passed the bar, I think, and she was just kind of being a trainee there. And then there was the other intern, which is honestly the only person who's still my friend to this day. I mean, the other people are all busy working it out, so I can't be friends with them. But yeah, this intern, his name was Brian, so shout out to him, and we're kind of like still friends. We talk sometimes, I guess, and we were kind of buddies the whole time because we were the only two people in the same generation in that whole place. So that was that. Okay, so that was the second day, and nothing much happens until the first court date. So what happens is I was 3-4 days in, and then they were like, okay, tomorrow we're going to court, a bunch of court cases we need to clear, and he basically said, show up at 6 a.m. tomorrow and wear a suit. Then I'm like, okay, so it is on, and I was like, ooh, okay, that's pretty hype. So I show up extra early, bright and early, before everyone else, because turns out they tell me to come at this time when everyone came like an hour later. So I was like, what the hell? But either way, I showed up. I was wearing a suit and shit. I was like, oh my god. I was like, okay, this is serious. I felt so serious the moment I donned the suit and stuff, but it was a super interesting to wear a suit like with an actual reason for the first time. Like the last time I wore a suit before that was to prom, which sucks. It's boring, that's lame. But wearing a suit to actually go to court, that is something else. You just feel. I was very nervous because I was going like, oh, what's happening here? So I show up and I just see the flurry before we go to court, because we have to reach there on time. We don't want to be late. If not, we get punished or we get scolded by the judge, which no one wants to have. And we just show up, and it's just this flurry to pack all the files in the suitcases, briefcases, and they're deciding, who takes the cab, who takes the car, and we pack everything in the back of one of the lawyer's car. We just pile in like a little tiny family going to court, and then we just sit there, and I was just kind of quiet as I listened to them discussing the case and things that they were going to do on the way there. And it's just like, okay, and then drive. And the office was quite near to the court, but it was still a good 10 minutes away. So we reached the court, parking, all that stuff, and then we entered court, which is like, woof. And one of the coolest feelings of my life is walking through the gate, because COVID was starting to become a thing at the time. It's still early 2020, so it wasn't locked down yet. But one of the coolest experiences I will ever have is walking through the lawyer's lane and entering through the lawyer's kind of lane for the court, while everyone else queues up like a plebeian to get into court. That was a good feeling, just cutting through everyone's queue. And wearing a suit while you're at it too, which is super cool. And it was a nice suit from Zara, but it was good enough. I walked in there, and we're just like walking around, and I'm just following them on different cases. So I'm following the different lawyers and different kind of hearings and cases, and one of the standout ones was when the big boss lawyer, he was an elderly man, but he still does a lot of cases. He tells me to follow him for his case where he personally was overseeing, and it was this very interesting hearing about this problem child, I guess, problem family, like with a lot of difficulties. It was a single mother kind of family. The son was rebellious and always getting into trouble, and nearly got into juvie, but the court said that if he stayed at home and followed curfew with his mother, he would have to avoid juvie. The problem was following the curfew had been pissing him off because he's a kind of guy who can't stand staying at home. So as a result, but he couldn't invite his friends over because his mother was very against his friends being over, because his mother didn't feel safe with his friends, because his friends apparently were gang affiliated, and there was like 8 guys who would come over, and his mother, being a single like lone woman, didn't feel safe with whatever that would happen if there were so many dudes there. So there's that kind of tension, and then there's that kind of rebellion going on because the son, rebellion, you know how single parents are. It's just for some reason bad things happen. So it was this discussion. The mother wanted to the mother wanted to end this kind of curfew agreement and send the son to juvie, or make the son stay in camp permanently, so that she didn't have to deal with him. She was getting really fed up with the son, because the son was, the son was constantly just trying to create trouble at home because he couldn't get his friends over. So he was just frustrated. He couldn't just settle down and chill out for a little bit. And if he went out, he was often getting in trouble or not following the curfew. So the mother was kind of like, I had enough covering for you in the court. I'm done with you. I want to send you to juvie. But in the end, she did break down in court. She did cry because parents, they love their children. The mothers love their children. Mothers all love their children. Not all, but most mothers love their children. And and in the end, nothing actually happened, and the same arrangement was met. But the son, I guess, was... The elderly lawyer scolded the son for being an ungrateful piece of crap in front of me, and scolded the mother, and also scolded the mother for being for not being harsh enough on the son. It was kind of funny, but it was also really sad. And I guess and then after all that, the elderly lawyer told me, he turned to me and he was like, this is, you see, I've actually brought you here for a reason. And he was like, you have a great family, you're dad and mom are together, you have a great family, you're pretty well to do, you need to hold on to your what your luck is, you need to appreciate your fortune and treat your family well, and also work hard. And I was like, yes sir, I know, I got it. But yeah, I mean, these are things that you should do and care about, but sometimes you forget. And this was a nice wake up kind of call, I guess. Not really a wake up call, because I wasn't ungrateful. It was just a good reminder of being happy about, being aware of where you are in life, and being, appreciative, and, always making sure that you're going in the right direction, especially if you were placed in fortunate circumstances. So that was nice. So thank you for that little lesson. I definitely appreciate it, sir. I don't think he ever watches YouTube videos, but if he ever watched this video, thank you very much. And there's that. So that was one of the court stories that was pretty interesting, and this video is getting pretty long, but I think I have about 6, 7, 8 more court stories that was super cool. I have one where there was a judge being really sassy with both defendant and basically both the person suing. There was a small claims court, but it was a small claims court, but the judge was this one who was all about getting the work done, and she was super sassy and paggroing them, because she was kind of feeling that the argument that they came to court for was the dumbest argument ever. And even when one side compromised, the other side wasn't willing to take the deal, which made no sense whatsoever. And she literally, in the middle of a hearing, went this face, in the middle of the hearing, the moment one of the parties said something, because she thought it would be over, it would have been perfect sense to end it there. Yeah, that's another story for another day. I want to tell that in more detail. So do tell me if you want to hear interesting stories from my time as a law firm. It was only 2 weeks, but I think I have about 4 or 5 more interesting stories that I would like to tell. But I don't want to drag this video out too long. Hope you guys enjoyed this little vlog. I want to do this daily, but it's very difficult to make 14 videos a week, but I will try, and I will get back into trying. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe if you liked what you've seen in this video, if you thought it was interesting or enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Goodbye.